Of course, the last week on the campaign trail here in the province of Ontario, two of the major party leaders have contracted COVID-19, which will largely impact the way that they campaign, as well as numerous campaign stops from all of the major party leaders. Joining me now to discuss that and more is Alvin Tedjo, who is the Liberal commentator. Melanie Paradis is a Conservative commentator, and Wright is an NDP commentator. Alvin, I'll start out with you. We have had two of the major party leaders contract COVID, as I mentioned in the introduction over the past week now. That's obviously going to impact the way that they campaign ahead of the coming weeks of the campaign, and really we don't have that much longer left in the campaign. So do you think this may impact the way that they campaign, given that they're going to have to be making virtual Zoom campaign stops now instead of going riding to riding physically campaigning?
Yeah, I mean, I think why the important thing is that people started voting today. I mean, you could always obviously vote at the returning office since the writ drop, but really today was the first day that the advanced polls were open. I think it's not necessarily as bad as it could be, given that they've already gone to the debate. They've already released their platforms. They've already started touring the province. So they've had their message out for a couple of weeks now. I think if they were ever going to get COVID at any time, this is probably ideal. They're going to obviously isolate for the next 5 days, and then as long as they're not symptomatic, I see them hitting the hustings for the last 10 days. It's going to be a sprint. It's always a sprint anyway. I think they're going to try to do as much as they can online and virtual, which they were already doing over the last year during the pandemic. Obviously, you can't replace in-person interaction, but they're going to do the best they can with it, and I don't think it'll be as bad as we think.
Melanie, I guess on sort of a similar topic as I just asked Alvin, I mean, the PC leader and the Liberal leader are clear as of now, but I guess just touch a little bit more on the same question that I asked Alvin, and obviously which campaign, it's a short campaign, how that may impact it, given that 5 days in this short of an election campaign may mean potentially a lot.
So first of all, of course, I wish a speedy recovery to both of the party leaders, but I also want to note that in 2020, I think, yes, in 2020, Aaron O'Toole got COVID shortly after, like a few weeks after winning the leadership. And I remember we had to send a camera to his front porch to record the response to the speech from the throne. And the cameraman had to hit record and then back away and hide in his car because at the time, we just didn't know as much as we know now, obviously, about the spread and the contamination. My thoughts are also with the war rooms, because those campaign teams, it's not just the leader, it's also any potential exposures that some of your key staff would have, and then they have to isolate, and there's a cascade here, and it's unfortunate that this happened during the campaign. So I feel for the teams.
Wright, what do you make of all of the latest on this?
I feel like of the panel, I'm probably the most directly impacted. Andrea was, in fact, in Ottawa, West Nepean yesterday before she got her diagnosis and before she got sick. And that's a place where the new Democrat candidate is only a couple of points back from Lisa MacLeod. In what is coming down to a nail biter. In fact, I was just told earlier today, they've had 3 times as many sign requests in Ottawa and West Nepean as they've ever had since the riding was created. So we're pretty excited about that. Places like Cambridge, and Andrea was about to start a Northern Ontario swing. So what you saw today is a little inventive, I suppose, and a bit of, as we pivot through all of this, they rolled up a television screen onto the stage, and she took questions. And Andrea is a phenomenal retail politician. She engages really well with people one-on-one and in small group settings. So it's really a shame to lose her, but she's also going to be able to pop into ridings much more in a concerted way through Zoom, getting on the phone and getting on Zooms with supporters and ridings and media in a much more concerted way, without having to worry about some of the really terrible internet connections of the province of Ontario currently and still has to offer, no matter how many press releases about broadband internet we've seen. So I'm really excited about what it is. The other part of this is, as Alvin mentioned, we're starting advanced poll voting. really at this point, it is knock on as many doors as you can, engage as many voters as you possibly can, and get them to the ballot box. And in an election campaign that charitably one might refer to as a bit bland, especially after what's happened in Alberta with the UCP and with the federal leadership, getting those votes into the ballot box in those battleground ridings, that's where Andrea really wants to flip those from conservative seats to New Democrat seats. That's where she focuses. Is, well, here's what I'll also tell you why I know this for sure. Come election night, Andrea Horwath will win her seat. I'm not sure about the Liberal leader.
Fair point.